Tina-Rae. So welcome everybody. This is Melody Place Farm Inc. Board meeting number 4. It's March 19th, 2025. We have a quorum present, obviously. And the first item on our agenda actually was to appoint Mylene as Associate Executive Director and Secretary of the company. And could I have a mover?
I'll
Chris or I said
yeah,
I.
yeah, and then I'll second it.
Yeah.
So who was the mover?
I.
Tina-Rae.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm just taking some notes as directed. Okay. Oops. Excuse me. Mover was Tina-Rae, and seconder was.
Myself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Ray. Seconder was Chris O'Connell. All in favor?
Oh, I can't
Absolutely.
vote, right?
Carried. Okay. Great. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Now the next thing on the list that we wanted to do before, because Mylene, Tina-Rae, excuse me, is not feeling very well, so she may not last the whole meeting, or some other things may come up. She wanted to confirm the date of confirmation of the on-site full-day board session. And I think I had proposed the end of April, which would have been Saturday, the 26th of April, for a full day meeting, and Chris would come up from Miami for that.
So just to clarify, when you say on site, that means on the farm?
No, it just means in person, and maybe in person would have been better to say, Mylene.
Okay. Because I can look after finding a place for us.
Well, I was thinking we could do it at my place if you guys were okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, I have a big table, can sit 12 people, and we're only 4. We might be 5 by then, but it just we can make tea and coffee. I can order sandwiches, or I mean, listen, it's up to you guys. If you prefer to go to some kind of hotel, I'm okay with that too, but I'd love to have you guys here.
That's fine. That's fine. I was prepared to. I had a couple of options, but that is fine.
All right, so if it's okay with everybody, the
Yeah.
meeting would start at 9:30, if that's all right with everybody, on the
Yeah.
26th, and it would be at my place, which is I'll put it in the chat box.
Okay.
Hang on a second, I'll just put it in the chat box. Okay, so there's the address. So the 26th is a Saturday. We'd start at 9:30 and we'd go until we finish.
Well, let's book off until 3:30 just so that we don't, if we need to book other things on, is that okay?
Yeah. I actually put 3:30 in.
Okay.
And just to prove it to you,
You don't need to prove it to me.
I mean, great minds think alike. Look at the orange thing on my calendar here,
Perfect.
right? So
Yeah.
great minds think alike. At 73, I've got lots of energy, but probably after a 5-hour meeting, I might be, needing some chocolate and coffee, and I don't drink
Yes.
coffee. So there you go. All right. So that's great, guys. Thanks very much for that. I'm just going to put it in our notes again. So we're talking. Holy smokes, excuse me. Well, I'm trying to keep my notes up to date here. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we're talking April 26th at 14 Riverbrook. Nepean. And 09:30 till 15:30. Okay, I got it. Okay, so that takes care of that. Tina-Rae, is there anything else you want to jump ahead to? Anybody?
Uh, let's talk about before I need to go, let's talk about Robin and
Yep.
I saw name and logo change on the agenda.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Ma can
Uh,
Mylene brief us on what she knows about Robin?
Sure, but I think actually Bruce knows him quite well. I just got off a call with Robin. And the other thing too that I would just if we're just managing the agenda, I would really like to finalize the site plan with the approved expenditures, or at least move ahead to start planning on them before some of the other updates and whatnot, if we
Yeah.
can.
sure. I mean, listen, I mean, we have a board agenda and, normally in larger boards that are more established, you follow it pretty much religiously. I've been in board meetings like with Brookfield Resources, which is a pretty big company, and it takes a hell of a lot to get them to change their agenda. But with us, I don't think I have to, stand on ceremony, so to speak. So I'm fine with that. So what was the first thing we were going to do with Robin? Okay, sure. Mylene, go
Yeah.
ahead. Keep going and I'll add my comments after.
Sure. So I've been really delighted speaking with him. He's very keen about the project, and what makes me most smile is he's keen on being involved. Now he's got a lot of his own personal projects underway, his own permaculture forest, and community projects, and two young kids. But I think he's realistic in terms of the management of his time and what he could take on this year. But by next year, it sounds like he'll, knowing this ahead of time, I think he would rightly protect his time to be on the farm and working with us. He is knowledgeable, although not formally certified in permaculture design. He's very interested in the bees and has hives. And the reason he and I spoke was I was wanting to start 3 hives, and Cassandra would look after them. This beehives this year. So Robin and I could start that off just between he and I, and then we would have a land lease, I guess, from the farm. But he has 3 hives, he thinks, ready to go, and we would buy 3 nukes to start having the hives. And in terms of the permaculture forest, not right away this year because of everything else he's got. But when we talk about the site plan, I would like for us to reserve some space for a permaculture forest coming in. What I would like to, and he said he would help me or advise me on that, is the planting of the fruit trees at the front of the property. So, I mean, this guy is right into it. And I swear it's idea after idea after
Yeah.
idea after idea. Very knowledgeable, wide breadth, wide span of knowledge, experience. He's built his own home. He's got, a large property. He's got his own permaculture forest. He's involved in his community. So I really like this guy. Really like him.
Awesome. Bruce, how did you meet him?
He's a former student of mine. And just to tell you how long I've been teaching Tina-Rae, he'll turn 50 next year. So he was in my class when he was 21 or 22. And he's a tech guy. He's been involved in technology for, ever since he graduated. But he studied entrepreneurship with me. And so he's an entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor. He's a family man with two children. He's been a good friend to me for a long time. And I guess you probably, all 3 of you know that one of my faults, if it can be considered a fault, is I pretty much like everybody. And there's a few exceptions, but not very many. But Robin to me is really pretty special. And I think Chris, you talked to him. He's going to make, I think, a 1% investment for $15,500.
Yeah, he's going to start with that. It sounded like, I think he's fine on things, but just from a cash flow perspective, he was like, look, yeah, let me start here. Let me wrap my head around the project and the long-term goals. And he said, there's room for more, but, let's start there. So I was totally okay with that.
So if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to start to share my screen just so you can see the notes that I'm taking while I'm taking them. And I'm going to do it in a Word document, Mylene, instead of a PDF. Robin would like board approval to join our board of directors and also to invest. I put Tina-Rae in here, but that doesn't matter. Who is the mover if I have one?
I'll move.
All right. Oh, that's very nice of you, Mylene. Mylene Kosseim. And seconder, maybe you, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say,
All in favor?
Aye.
yeah.
Okay. Chris, would you please confirm that to Robin and also get him to sign his subscription agreement and send the funds to you, please?
Exactly. Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, that's that.
That's great. I'm really pleased. So that's another thing you'll have to report to our lawyer that we now have a new member of our board.
Question?
I'm disappointed that the way things worked out with Luke St. Pierre. I'm disappointed about that. I'm disappointed in him actually, and to some extent his brother. So I do think in a way, maybe it's a little cruel to say, but I think we traded up here.
I agree.
Mylene?
Yeah, question. Luke is still noted as a member of the board who's absent. Is he still a member of the board or not? Has he
No.
resigned?
No, did we get a resignation letter from him, Chris?
I sent it over to him. I'll follow up with him on that.
Yeah.
So we can get that.
Once we have, if you notify me that he has signed his resignation, and again, that goes to
Yep.
our lawyer, so it goes into our minute book. Once he signed his resignation, then I'll note him down as a former member of our board. I don't think we actually have the actual signed
Right.
resignation yet.
I'll get that from him. Yeah.
I'm sure you will. I mean, he'd be happy to do that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Is he taking his money out too then?
No, he's done very well. We paid him and his brother $18,000 that frankly I don't know. I mean I don't know what to say about it. Just did not seem very fair to me. All right. Okay, so can we have now we're going back. Can I have
Yeah.
a motion, a mover to approve the agenda?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Seconder, Mylene?
Sure.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Do I say aye if I'm not going to be here for all of it potentially?
Well, we'll just write you down as an aye on everything.
Okay.
Okay. Oops, Kosseim. All right, thank you. Approval of previous minutes?
Yep. I'll start with that.
All right, thank you. And seconder?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I'll mark that as carried. Okay, here's the most important thing we're doing today. Happy birthday
Hey
to
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to you.
Chris.
Happy birthday, dear
Hey, dear
Chris.
Chris.
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to you.
You guys are too nice.
And
thank you.
Mine was on Sunday.
Oh,
And
no
I
way.
just-
Well, happy
Oh my
birthday,
gosh.
Tina-Rae.
Chris, you're 37 or 38?
Yeah,
37.
36.
37.
Thank
Okay,
you.
still young.
You're 36, Tina-Rae?
I wish. Add 20 years.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is very, very simple. That was a kind of a really neat thing that happened. And I think, Mylene, you and Chris and I are going to talk to Kendra Thompson on Monday about sponsoring PawGround at Melody Place Farm. Um, Michael Swatton works with me on a bunch of things, and I asked him to send out a blast about, PawGround, what you and Chris are doing, Glenn. And Kendra on her own reached back to me, not knowing that I've been coaching her boss, Jamie Montero, for 15 years.
So funny.
And Kendra is responsible for all of their social media and their marketing. And it's a very successful company, Purdy Paws. They have 3 permanent pet spa locations, and they have 3 mobile pet spas in Mercedes Sprinter vans. And so I think it should be a good discussion, and that would be hopefully the first of many sponsorships for PawGround. And if other people put in PawGrounds in Smith Falls, or I put one in Dunrobin or whatever, presumably they'll sponsor other dog parks. So I think it's a good thing to have. And Mylene, you asked me a question, which was a very good question, which was, and I'll just stop sharing my screen for a minute. Which was, do corporations sponsor not-for-profits and for-profits? And I think I gave you a reasonably good answer. Hockey teams, football teams, baseball teams, basketball teams, football teams in the UK and elsewhere they're for-profit businesses for sure, and they get lots of sponsorship. Really what sponsorship is for corporations is a form, obviously, of marketing and branding. Sometimes it's corporate social responsibility, and that, Mylene, is usually confined to not-for-profits or charities.
Yeah.
So if you
Okay.
go to some corporation and say, look, I'm supporting single mothers here, and will you give me some money? They'll have to do that from their corporate social responsibility budget.
Right.
But
Okay.
they will support companies like PawGround, which is a private dog park, whether they're Purina Dog Chow or they're Purdy Paws, pet spas. They'll do it because it's basically marketing for them.
Okay.
Right.
And one other thing I did say is that for a corporation, a charitable receipt is of no value. They can't use it. I mean, if an individual gives money to a charity, they
Yeah.
can use the tax receipt. But if it's a company, which is most of the sponsors are corporations,
Yeah.
it's just a marketing expense. They just deduct it.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm quite optimistic that, as this dog park gets better known and more successful, I would hope we could get, 40 or $50,000 a year of sponsorship. Maybe that's too much, but I really believe in sponsorship. Back in the day when I was running the Senators, we were doing $22.5 million a year in sponsorship for the team and the building. And I think I mentioned earlier that in Orange County, which is the richest county in the United States, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, now just the Anaheim Ducks, were doing $5.5 million. So we must have been doing something right.
Can I just do a little caveat now, a placeholder for our meeting, in-person meeting, because I did think about something. I thought it was a pretty good idea. I don't know if Chris shared it with you, but I'm wondering if when the workshops come in, including our business, come on the land. You're really good at that sort of thing, Bruce. And do you think that that could be a revenue stream for Melody Place Farm? Is that you bring in the sponsors? The sponsors get associated with some of the businesses that are on the farm, but Melody Place Farm actually receives some of that because the boards, the panels, the website, all of that advertisement would also be on
Yeah, I
Melody
think
Place
that's a
Farm.
that's a great suggestion, Mylene. And what we should do is I'll add it to my schedule, for the agenda, um, sharing sponsorship. I like that idea. I think you're right. Sponsorship revenues.
Say again, Milan. I didn't understand that.
So, Bruce, of all of us, and probably of a lot of people who are going to be renting workshops and tiny homes and whatnot on the farm, Bruce has a lot of connections and a lot of experience with hooking up with sponsors. And so would be an incredible source of hooking up of sponsors. And rather than the sponsorship go directly to the businesses that are being operated on the farm, that sponsorship be split between the farm and the businesses, because it is going to be on the farm that we're going to have the placards, and we're going to have the on our website, the different businesses that are sponsored or co-sponsored by third parties. And I just think, Bruce puts in naturally a lot of that time, and so why doesn't it come back to the farm?
Well, I think, since the three of you are all bigger shareholders than I am, I think, that's fine. It benefits everybody. And I like that idea. And I think that is fair too, Milan. So I put it into the agenda for the 26th. We'll go through it at that time. Chris only has until 1 o'clock
Yep.
and Tina-Rae isn't feeling very well. So,
Yep.
so we're going to try and boot along and get as much stuff done as we possibly
Yep.
can. So I did 4 draft leases, one for PawGround, one for the summer kitchen, and then there were 2 land leases for you, Milan. But I think Chris told me the other day that you're only going to do one now.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy that second unit from Mitch.
No, that's fine. So one of the things I would ask you to do, Milan, and you too, Chris, is just put in one email for me any changes you need in those leases, and I will update them for you. Okay?
I
But
know it's
it
long
would really
overdue.
help me if it was just one email, and I'll do
Yeah,
all 3 of them at the same time. Is that okay?
absolutely.
Okay. Um, I only have 2 other things that I wanted to talk about. And one I think, Milan, you'll like, and one I think, Milan, you won't like. And Tina-Rae, I'm not sure. And Chris, I'm not 100% sure either, but I'm pretty sure about where Milan will stand. But I wanted to show you what one of my clients is doing with something called Black Sheep Wagons. And I'm only going to take 2 minutes on this, and then I'm going to take another 2 minutes on John Connolly's situation. Um, so I think you guys know that I'm coaching this group. They're kind of west of Ottawa, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Really nice young couple, and they are building these 3-season bunkies in these basically converted hay wagons. And I think I sent this to you. And the thing that I thought, Belinda, that you would like best about these, just bear with me for a minute, is that they're on converted hay wagons. You don't need to put down gravel roads, gravel pads. You don't need to put down screw piles, nothing. You just literally, So one of the things that would help me as your kind of leasing and sales guy would, if the board will give me direction on this, would be to talk further with Jessica Vance and her husband, Josh Vance, about acquiring some of these. And Chris, you'll be relieved to know we aren't going to buy them. What I
That's
would
great.
do, if the board approves it, is we have some of those larger garden plots, which we are renting for $600 for a year. They're certainly big enough to put one of these on there. And so what I would like to do, and you'll see a slide, I've got a slide here, is I would like to sell them to somebody. They would own it, not us, but they would pay us some land rent along with the garden plot. It will help me sell garden plots, and it's a hoot. So these are hay wagons that they've been buying and converting to these bunkies. Um, and I work very closely with Jessica Vance and her husband Josh. Uh, this is kind of what you can see here. The bending process that they use to create this is a trade secret. This is not easy to do. In the way that they create these are actually modeled after prairie schooners, which are exactly what they sound like. They traverse the Canadian prairie and, of course, the American West as well. They were much lighter than Conestoga wagons, the big ones. And these will not leave. You can tow them anywhere on a farm, and they're fine. So they'll be finished quite beautifully. Here's their kind of draft brochure if you can. I'm going to share this with you guys. Don't look at the price for now, but they will have in them, let's see if I got a list of things. Sorry about this. So what they'll have in them is a stove, a sink, a foot operated tap. They've got they're furnished with bedding, etc. Propane tank. They will have some kind of small heating system, even though it's 3 seasons. If it rains for 3 days, these things can get cool and damp, so they need some kind of heating. They expect that these things will have about a 25-year life, but the canvas cover that covers the wagon probably has a life expectancy of 5 to 7 years. This is a little bit of history. Prairie schooners are a romantic, nostalgic nod to pioneer life, which I kind of think is correct. And then here is the key thing from my point of view. We would sell these to people who were interested in buying them and putting them on their garden plot for $45,000 plus HST. They would get a manufacturer's rebate from Black Sheep Wagons, from Jessica and Josh, of $5,000. Melody Place Farm would get a $5,000 referral fee. We would put them on the large gardens. People would pay $600 a year for their large gardens, which is what we've already established. And they would pay something like $325 a month to park these wagons on the garden. We charge them something for that. And that would be for 9 months a year. So it's a 3-season deal.
Great.
So I have a question for you, Bruce. First off, are you not concerned that these are overnight camping setups? Because we can get in trouble for that. And the second question is, does that preclude, because I've been looking at, just having garden shed bunkies, very rudimentary, not finished, absolutely no services, getting them under 160 square feet. Yes, they're going to have to be on pads of some sort or on blocks,
Sure.
but way, way cheaper than that. So, and if we can find somebody to build them or offer workshops on building them, stuff like that, I'm hoping to get decent ones built for well under 5,000, if not 3,000.
I'm all in favor of that, Mylene.
Okay.
You were going to supply me with some information on the bunkie. I haven't seen it yet.
No, because well, anyway, I don't want to take up time now. I'll share that with you.
Yeah, that wasn't a criticism. That wasn't.
No. Yeah.
What I was saying is that I think having two options. Hey, you can get a bunkie for $3,000 or $5,000, but whatever it is, I think that. I had on some of my properties, I had these very small cabins with literally two sets of bunk beds, and that's it, and a table and a chair. And I would pay, back in the day, I'd pay $5,000 or $6,000 for the shed, and just two. All it had was two bunk beds, like I said, a table and a chair, and it was a few $1,000s. What I would like to do is I'd like to have people buy them from us and pay us land rent. This would be one alternative. They definitely could stay overnight. That is absolutely correct. But it's a wagon. I don't think that. I mean, if you think about it, what could look more? Excuse me. What could look more like a farm than this?
Yeah.
Seriously.
So if you can get me this stuff on the bunkies, that'll be the other thing. The only thing that we need, whether it's your sheds with a couple of bunk beds in it, they should have bunk beds in it. Because even if you're just going there for an afternoon, older people like me, when my grandchildren are busy gardening, I might go into the shed. I'm not too proud to go in there and have a nap. And the one thing I would like is, I've shown you this before. This is Jabulani Winery here in Ottawa. I'd like to have at least one or two of these on the farm, at least one of these. Right?
Are you opting, aside from being on wheels, why are you opting for these over the North Country sheds?
Not necessarily, but
No?
I do think that I was very sensitive to Mylene's comment that we don't want to ruin the agricultural land. And I
Okay.
was trying to think of a way to have
Right.
one of these beautiful gardens that are like, I think 2,500 square feet, or 2,400 square feet, whatever. They were big. And these things take up, just a tiny part. And think about that if you had a hay wagon, so to speak, in a place where you could go and you have lunch together, make love to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, your wife, your husband, your partner. I mean, I'm just saying. And the only thing that we would need, because it's 3 seasons, which is much easier, is one of these. And Tina-Rae, if Jabalani Winery, who is catering to Bridezilla, is allowed to have one of these, our farm could have one of these, and people will accept it, I think.
I like them. I think they fit the farm perfectly.
I do like now the one thing I have to tell you guys is I'm obviously in a conflict of interest here because I coach Jessica and Josh, and I also, of course, coach this group, and I love you all. So what I would like to do, if I had your permission, is I would like to have at least two of the three of you guys just meet Jess and Josh just to get a sense of, do you like them and do you trust them? I do, but is this fair? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
could I have two volunteers from this group that I could, I mean, it could be all three of you, it's up to you.
Right.
But at least two of you that would meet with Jess and Josh and just, make sure you're comfortable with this.
Where are they located?
So they're kind of, I think, in Lanark County, which is west of Ottawa.
Okay.
They're literally in the
Creek.
middle of nowhere. And if I go a little bit further down to my slide deck here, they run some glamping there.
Oh, cool.
They have a tiny house. This is Jessica and Josh's tiny house. It's on Airbnb, and look what they also have. So when you go to the Airbnb on their farm, and it's west of Ottawa. I don't know how far west of Ottawa, an hour. They have the mini pig. They have the chickens. They're really, really fine people. But like I said, I like everybody, so I want to make sure you guys are comfortable.
I'll go because it's in between where I am right now and Ottawa. A
So,
little
Tina-Rae, is there somebody else who would volunteer?
I mean, I definitely would. Obviously, I don't think I could meet them face to
No,
face,
on
but
Zoom. On Zoom.
yeah. I'm absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I
Of
spent too
course.
much time on it, but thank you for
No,
that.
no. That's
I
great.
will
It's a great
I will
suggestion.
go back to my agenda now.
I can
And
even take you with me on the phone, Chris.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, even
Day
if
works there.
yeah,
Sure
you're
you're
there
around.
and that's fine.
all right. So I will put here Bruce to intro, Josh, I'm sorry, Tina-Rae, and Chris to Jessica, Vance, and Josh. Vance. All right.
What's the link between Jabulina, whatever winery and these covered wagons? Is it the same couple?
No, no. I just wanted we need to have, we're going to have the summer kitchen which has a bathroom that everybody can access.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think listen, as long as we have like 2 or 3 garden plots, if they have to go to the toilet, they can just walk
Yeah.
up to the summer kitchen. But if we ended up at some point with 80 of these
Yeah.
Gardens, we should
Yeah.
have a Jabulani style washroom,
Yeah.
WC,
Okay.
there. I mean, because
Okay.
it's 3 seasons, it's very, very inexpensive to do,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing to have. All right, the
Okay.
next one. This is my last one. My last comment. John Connolly is again another young person I coach. He's in his 30s. He's a financial analyst. He runs a real estate company that probably has $200 million worth of assets. He bought one of those Vanguard units at Hammond Hill that Mylene, you've seen, and of course we've all seen. And he is a possible investor in Melody Place Farm. Certainly, I mean, his family company, which is quite big, has the resources to help us with our capital raise. but he would also like to move his Vanguard unit to the farm. I went over very carefully with him yesterday that all of the costs for moving the thing and putting it hopefully somewhere near the barn, adding the deck, and whatever else, and he would be treated not as one of our 4 mobile homes, but as an ATCO trailer, and he would lease it out, or at least I probably would end up leasing it out for him. Because he's losing $12,000 a year at Hammond Hill, and he wants to move it. He understands he would be responsible for all of the costs of hookups, and I went through that in detail with him. In addition to that, I will brief him in great detail as to how he might winterize this. But it would add another tiny home to our site, which I'm not going to count against our 4 bigger ones. And it would add more activity and would add to some of our cash flow without costing us any money. It won't be another $18,000 fiasco like Luke and Mark.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty open to that idea. Again, Mylene, as long as we make sure that we try to have it low impact and maybe as close to Luke's as possible while maintaining, the site and views. I mean, to get another bit of revenue in here, and especially as we're going through a little bit of a refinance conversation, I'm working with some people determining what the best way to look at this is. And if we do look at it as more of a rental property, which I think we're going to go down that road, having additional streams like that is going to help us out. But again, open to hear from the rest of you guys.
Are we still going to have those 2 ATCO trailers that you were talking about, Bruce?
Well, this would be the second, Tina-Rae.
This would be the second and last one.
Okay.
Tina-Rae, because these are such small units, and as long as we put them close to the works garage or the barn, I can argue if we ever get called to account by the city, I can argue that, look, they're just ATCO trailers. ATCO trailers are very well known. You see them all over Canada, the United States, and a lot of these ATCO trailers, they stack them actually sometimes 3 high, maybe even 4 high, but I don't know if this goes that high, but 3 high. And some of them obviously have desks and chairs in there because it's pretty cold in Canada. But they also have bunk beds in there just in case, you're working overnight and you need to have a break. So
Yeah. So we were talking earlier about putting one perpendicular to Luke's anyway, right? And they fell through for whatever reasons.
Yeah,
So
that's
it would just
correct.
be probably going back to that plan for the second one.
Yeah,
Well,
Mylene did not want to Mylene did not want to put one into the area where the farmhouse has its beautiful views. And look, Mylene, one thing you've gotten to know me a little bit better, and I'm the guy who wants to go along to get along. So I'm all about compromise. But Tina-Rae, I really, really, really want to help John because I think, for example, he could take up $100,000 of our financing if he decides he likes us, and he certainly likes me, and I think he'll like the rest of our group.
Okay.
So I've got more. I'm not against it in principle. I like all of that. But we've got other issues to resolve or resolve by his coming rather than create new issues because the location of the current ATCO trailer is a nightmare. And there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So we're not finished with $18,000. And the only thing, without going into particulars, I would suggest that we hook it up with more or less where the 4 tiny homes are going to go so that we can use the capital to hook this ATCO trailer along with the 4 tiny homes and bundle all of that up. Keeping it separate, I completely agree. But when we look at the site plans, I can think of a couple of things, but it's not going to go anywhere near Luke's thing. And there's no advantage of putting it near Luke's trailer. Absolutely not.
Other than my ability to argue with the city. I just want to make sure that it's close to a workshop.
It will be, but not on the side that Luke is. It'll be close.
I don't really care, and I'm sure John doesn't care where it goes.
Yeah.
I just have to be able to say it's close to a workshop, and it's just a place where if one of our workers gets tired, he or she can go and sack
Yeah.
out or just get out of the cold or whatever they need to do. And I don't want to take away from the four beautiful trailers, I'm sorry, tiny homes that will be a real focus for us.
You won't, you won't. And I
All right.
want to show you later. I'll show you a bit what my thoughts are, and you tell me at that point if it can work or not. But that, like I said, I'm not against it in principle, but I just want it to work so that we can offset some of the costs to add the Satco trailer against some of the costs to ready up for the 4 trailers.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen one more time. Tina-Rae, you seem to be perking up a little bit.
What do you think?
Have
No,
you?
looks can be misleading. I feel worse, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry
Just because I'm
for
sitting up
that.
straight.
All right, authorize Bruce to discuss this further with John. So all I'm asking for the board is just to authorize me to have further discussions with him without commitments.
Okay, but you do understand that we need to talk more about it before you can give him options, right? Because
Well,
there are going to be costs involved, or
what
what?
what I said to him was that he's not going to be paying for a new well, and he's not going to be paying for a septic field. He's not going to be paying for, electricity distribution. What he's going to be paying for is moving his unit to the farm, and then wherever our services are, he pays for all those hookups and he pays for whatever pad he is required to put in. Those are the cost. And by the way, Chris did update me about Luke asking for us to pay for more things. As a member of your board and as your chair, I am completely opposed to providing Mr. St. Pierre with any additional financial assistance. I think $18,000, basically, I do feel we kind of got ripped off. And if there's more gravel he needs or more of anything he needs, that has to be his concern, I think. That's just
100%.
my personal take, and I guess yours too, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. With his regraveling
He's
area.
he's got a lot of gall, I have to say. He's got a
He
Yeah.
lot.
has a lot of gall.
Yep.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted. We got him out of a jam,
Mhm.
and then he just put Chris into a very difficult situation and didn't give Chris any choice in the matter. And I support what you did, Chris, but I don't think we should say, look, we've given you and your brother $18,000, which we didn't really expect to do, and we gave you a sweetheart land lease. God
Right.
bless you. You've done really, really well. If there's
Well,
anything else that needs fixing, like for example, Mylene, he did not fix his unit properly to sustain a Canadian winter. That's not me. That's not you guys. That's him. I warned him about that.
but the reason he needs gravel is because of the shit job that he and his brother did to hook it up, and that's where I think he's
Why are
got.
we going to pay for a contractor who has now ripped us off for 18,000
Right.
bucks to fix his own mistakes?
Well, we're going to have to, is what I'm telling you, Bruce. But it won't be on Luke's terms. It'll be on our terms to reconfigure our parking lot, and
100%.
the rest of it. That's it. He's got his
100%.
guy parking all over the place where he's not supposed to. And that's another thing in land leases. You should also say one designated spark parking
Yeah.
spot
Yeah. We'll be
included.
careful in the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will tell if we're in agreement on this, I will tell John that in principle we're in favor, and we'll have to work out the details and then come back to the board for final approval.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think I need a mover or seconder for that. I'll just have to remember that I have to come back to the board before this is approved. But that I think will really help us. We need more action and more leasing. And John, like I said, I'm sure you guys will enjoy him a hell of a lot more than Luke. And he certainly has the capability of helping us with our fundraising. All right. That's it. That's it
Great.
for me. Over to you, Chris. You've got
Sure.
11 minutes.
Yeah. So, Mylene, this is a little hand in hand with what you're going to be sharing here too, but I just wanted to give everybody a bit of just a budget update, and then I know we want to solidify, where we want the four tiny homes, what we want to do with the septic, and then I guess just quickly, Mylene, did you ever hear back from Mike on the micro suite
Yeah,
work?
yeah.
Okay,
So
okay,
he's going to
great.
start end of next week or the week after Monday.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah.
Great. I'll let Alex know too, just because obviously there'll be some stuff going on. But essentially, guys, this is just going to be a quick breakdown of where we are from a budgeting perspective, so we can, I know there's some absolute musts that we need to do. It looks like sharing might not be turned on.
Bruce,
I
you got.
can, sorry, excuse me. I'll make you co-host.
Awesome.
Apologize.
Yeah.
There you go.
And again, I'm using round numbers here, so I know, it's a little bit different, but I just used our deck here and changed up with what we have. 120, about 120 in the bank. We got Robin's investment coming, so we're about, 135, just over that. The things that I see are absolute musts are the micro suite. We're going to have to do something with the gravel. The plumbing is already going to be in process. The garden plots and the parking. And then it really comes down to how do we want to at least get going with the septic and well? Because Mylene, I know you have somebody who's ready to go who wants to move in on that. Um, do
Can you repeat
yeah,
that last piece? What was that?
with somebody like with Mylene's tiny home. I mean, I know they're
Oh yeah,
eager
was
to.
that Cass?
That's
Oh,
right.
isn't that
She's
wonderful?
she's been emailing me. She's and I'll speak to you later on that. I'll speak to you later on that.
Right. And I mean, I know we still need to talk about road extensions and where the paths are going to go and all that. So, look, it doesn't worry me because I know we're going to have some other investments coming. I'm working on refinancing, which we could probably get more capital for even a lower monthly payment. So, in a sense, we're actually are in a good spot. But just something to know, can't just necessarily make a ton of commitments right this second on some of this work. So, Mylene, I'm happy to work with you on our next couple sessions here to really prioritize things out because I know you have a good idea of where we need to go with this too.
Can if I understand it correctly, the micro suite. By the way, you didn't quite spell that correctly there.
Oh yeah,
Um,
did I say suit?
Micro suit, yeah,
Yeah. What is
and
stupid
you
language
forgot
English is right
the
now?
R in micro.
Micro. Well, I was just whipping this together. So
Yeah,
what are you
it's all
gonna
right.
do?
That's okay. And they're really two words, I guess, maybe.
Okay, Bruce, it's okay.
Yeah.
So,
As long as
all
there's
right,
a
all right,
red
all right.
squiggly
That's why I'm
line
not an
down the
engineer.
middle,
Yeah, I'm not a
No,
details guy.
I do so much writing. I'm particular about it. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think getting the summer kitchen finished is really important because one of the things I did was I talked to our appraiser, Rebecca Simon, and that summer kitchen renovation, which is fantastic, is going to add a lot of value. So our appraised value will go up quite a bit. And so I think if we're 14,000 or $15,000 short, we just need to sell one more 1% and
Well,
we're
right.
there. So
Exactly.
I don't think there's anything on your list there that I would take off.
Right. Right. No, it's
Um,
more of how we want to structure it. Yeah, Mylene, go
Chris,
for
I
sure.
think you're undervaluing the work on the micro suite. It's a hundred
I
thousand.
agree.
It's not 80.
Okay.
So and that's we can't get around that because
But
80 is what.
Bill and Chris, you should change that right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just change it right now and
Sure.
put 100,000 so we have the up-to-date numbers.
It'd be another
That's
it'd be
34.
34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to sell two more
Two.
shares, basically.
Right. Right.
And what's the gravel? And how about the four tiny homes? Are the pads, the parking pads, going to be done by Melody Place Farm, or is it by the individual owners?
That's a good question. I'm negotiating at the barn dominium, Milan, for one more parking pad. I've got five. I wasn't planning to add a sixth one, but I've got one more person. I'm allowed six. I've got two lots, and I'm allowed three residential occupancy, so I'm allowed six. I wasn't going to do it, but I think I might have to in some ways. And I'm negotiating right now, and I'm trying to get the buyer. I have a discussion with him on Friday, so day after tomorrow, where he would pay for his parking pad and for the hookup to the. I already have electricity, septic, and well there, so he would pay for the hookup and he would pay for the parking pad. The deal that I did with Ron and Michelle for theirs, I put the parking pad in. It was very expensive.
Right. I'd like to shift that to the people, moving the homes there. But again, I mean, maybe the market will tell us what's realistic there. If they get a $20,000 manufacturer rebate back, like I know we at least are with Humble Creek, not so much with Mitch yet. There's kind of the
Yeah,
money for
by
that
the
there.
way,
But
I think I patched it up with Humble Creek.
right, I remember you mentioned that, which is good.
I asked Mitch, as you know, for a referral fee and a sponsorship, and oh my God, the answer was NFW.
What? No.
No way, but with an F in there.
Okay.
So he said, "My prices are my prices." He bit my head off. Then I had to
Okay.
sort of screw it back on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Humble Creek will give us a $20,000 manufacturer's rebate, and they will give us a referral fee to the farm.
Do they have their manufacturing sorted out? Because you said they were having
They're
problems.
they're they're doing better, I'm working now with a guy by the name of Simone DeCosta. So not Simon Faisal, another fellow who works for them, Simone. I think Pat Lamoth, one of the co-founders, is moving on, which is probably a good thing. So I patched it up with him, but I'm not saying I like Mitch. I mean, I like him, and the fact that he bit my head off, Tina-Rae, it's okay. I understand. He was just a little gruff.
Yeah. If he still does a good product, that's
Yeah, if
what
he
we're
builds a good
concerned about.
product and provides a decent service and a
Yeah.
price, that's fine. But
Yeah.
he definitely is not into the idea of giving realtors or people like us at Melody Place Farm a referral fee or anything like that. He said, that's it. No, that's my price.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But I think I think this is all we can do. That's all we can do. So we're not going to do any workshops then, Chris, unless we can finance one.
How much
Yeah.
approximately is it going to cost to sorry to interrupt, Chris, to
Yeah.
prep the site for the tiny home?
It'd be 15K at least.
Is that included in the 15K that you said is like hookup that the client will
Well,
pay for?
Well, right. That's what I want to be really clear on. Like, where
Yeah.
does the hookup and pad end? And I agree. I mean, that's where I almost want to put that on them to be able to do that. Because what, Bruce? I mean, all in, you're probably talking 15, 20 to do the pad, the hookup.
Oh yeah, I mean the sewer. Ron and Michelle, they Ron and Michelle. To be fair to them, they did pay for the hook up to the septic system, hook up to the well, and hook up to the electrical, and
Right. They
that
just did
that was about $18,000.
just
And
for that.
then
Wow.
the parking pad, which was a very long one, was 18,000, which I paid.
Right.
But that's like a 60-meter road,
Right.
plus the parking pad. So just a parking pad by itself is probably about $8,000 of gravel if that's what you're doing.
Right. Okay.
And
All right.
15 for the lines for
I
the
beg your
other
pardon?
services. 15 for the services.
So I think it's reasonable to say that their cost for the parking pad, Chris, and the
Yeah.
services could be anywhere from 15 to $20,000. That
Yeah.
that would be my
Yeah.
guess.
Right.
And they're going to do better than I did because Mylene, for example, as a project manager, is able to get multiple prices, and she just will get it cheaper than I got it, and I'm sure other people will do better than I do. I'm a retail buyer, which is not a compliment to me, but I think it's reasonable to assume, Tina-Rae, that hook up to for John Connolly, I said, look, it's going to cost you between 15 and $20,000 to move this thing. And I said to him, provide your own pad and hook up to the services. And he said that's fine because Tina-Rae, if he stays where he is now, he just loses $12,000 a year. Like, why would you do
Right.
that? I mean, by doing nothing, he'll be worse off.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right,
Sorry about
Chris,
that,
are
guys.
you at the end here?
Well, I can at least hold on a second. Let me just kick off that other meeting.
Okay, kick off the other meeting.
Well, yeah, I can do that sort of remotely. Tina-Rae, did you, or sorry, not Tina-Rae, Mylene, did you have anything you wanted to add, at least on, projects that we're prioritizing here?
Well, I'm afraid that we're underestimating the cost because we're going to
Oh,
need
I'm
to
sure we
get
are.
yeah, and so then that means that we don't go ahead with the 4 workshops in the garage this year.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree with
It's going to
that.
be a big one.
I agree with that. There's no way we can afford that. One of the things we might consider doing, Milan, is we might consider getting one of those smaller workshops from North Country Sheds. We can get those for about 30 grand, but we can finance those.
Yeah, but I would say we need to think twice about that, Bruce, because the cost differential to get 4 workshops rather than go to 1 workshop, and
But wasn't
plus
wasn't wasn't a whole lot different, was it?
that's what I'm saying. So to get
Sorry, because we're so short of time, and this has been a completely screwed up day. Because we're so short of time, can you guys look at your schedule? Do you guys want to schedule a 1 hour meeting sort of before our day-long meeting, or do you want to just wait for the day-long meeting?
No, I can't wait for the day-long meeting because I need to get if we
Yeah,
want a
I,
septic
Yeah.
system and everything, we've
Yeah.
got to send in the permits, the inspection, everything else.
I don't disagree. Okay, so listen, guys. What about Friday the 28th of March? So,
What about tomorrow or Friday, Bruce?
oh, Jesus, I just can't. I mean, I just can't. You have no idea what my stupid schedule looks like. Well, I'll show you. It is just
Okay, well, that's fine, but I'm just going to be
horrendous.
going ahead then. I'll work with Chris and I'm just going to go ahead and start getting the ball rolling
Well,
on these.
I think, look, I think we're all in agreement that with what Chris put up there, but what we don't have is we have rubber numbers in there, and I would rather see real numbers in there. So why don't we say as a board, you and Chris should go ahead and do whatever you need to do to get stuff going. That summer kitchen, we got to get that thing finished, right?
Okay,
Um,
that's not my worry. The
yeah, I
summer
know that.
We're
kitchen
good
is
on that.
looked after. That's
Yeah.
fine.
So what I'm
But
saying is, you guys have to put real numbers to it. I mean, Chris has got some placeholder numbers. Put some better numbers in there, and at least consider one workshop. We need to move something forward on that aspect of our farm. That's a very important future revenue stream, and we want to prove that. I mean, I've got any number of requests for workshops for tiny homes. I haven't got a lot of requests yet for garden plots, but I haven't worked on that yet either. All right. So what about if we were to meet for 1 hour next Friday? Just you guys go ahead and do what you have to do to get going, but we'll just have a review, not even a board meeting, just a review meeting next Friday at 11.
except that then you guys need to authorize me and Chris to decide on the plan, the land use plan. And what we decide on sticks, and that's it, that's all. Because I can't get the costs unless we know where these things are going to go.
I don't, well, that's very important. Can
Exactly.
you share your screen, please? And show us the site plan. And then we'll get you out of here, Chris, in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I know my engineer's working with them, so it's just a troubleshooting call.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Entire screen window, and of course now I'm stuck with this. Okay, here it is. Do you guys see this?
We do.
Okay, this is an old drawing, so just let
Remember it
me,
well.
it's an old drawing. So over here is the mound for the asparagus, and it lines up with the barn. The 4 tiny homes are going to go on the other side of that towards the back. I was thinking of putting the Atco trailer somewhere around here because we're going to have to get the septic system somewhere around here. And that's what I was saying is rather than reopen all of this to hook up another Atco trailer, put it over here close to where the septic system is going to go. The field can go over here with eating, picnic tables on. and we're going to need to have the parking over here. The Jubilina or Jabulina toilets are here. Well, all of this doesn't matter. That's a project that we can deal with, and just go with this road for the time being, because we're going to need parking over here, and we're going to need access to this little tiny home here and the 4 tiny homes.
And the dog park is still where it is.
Well, this is it. The dog park. I was thinking that we could put it somewhere in here and divert this road so that we can have part of the dog park in the forest and part outside. Otherwise, right on the other side of this mound over here, roughly.
Okay, let me just stop you for a moment.
Yes.
It is an excellent plan. This is a really good plan. I love the location for the 4 tiny homes. I love the location for the Atco trailer, John Connolly's Atco trailer. Great idea. And Mylene, I completely 100% agree with putting the dog park where you had it initially. Sorry, not initially, but where you just showed it. Yes.
Here.
No, it was down further.
Here?
Yeah, was there as part of the forest.
Okay, so that
To me, that makes a lot of sense, because then you're not bringing dogs through the tiny homes, through the farmhouse, through the workshops. The dog park is close to the gardens. It's close to the front of the property. It makes perfect sense there. So I think the dog park goes where you showed it with your cursor a moment ago. The gardens, nowhere that goes. The 4 tiny homes, the Atco trailer. The one thing I would ask you to consider right now is, if we put one small workshop, just if we did, where would it go?
Well, it would probably go around here or over here.
Perfect. So, Mylene, could you, just because I want to get Chris out of here, could you
guys, the call took care of itself. Technically, I have more time, like an hour if we need. So we can keep pressing forward if we need to.
All right. Thank you. So, Mylene, could you just update your sketch, show where the dog park is going to go, show where we could put one small workshop, show where the second Atco trailer goes, the 4 tiny homes, the septic field, the well, garden plots. I mean, this is a really good plan. I love it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Question: If you move the Luke's tiny house and John's,
no, you should not moving that.
No.
No. Luke's tiny house isn't moving.
Okay.
Ever.
Does whatever you're wanting to do, Mylene, like waste the $18,000 of work? No, Bruce, you're saying Luke's trailer is going to stay there.
It's already wasted. There's no way. They buried all the cables and the water things without having a pipe or a channel for it. So we're going to have to reopen everything. So it doesn't, what I'm planning, it is going to be a higher outlay cost, but what I'm planning to do is to put all the pipes within culverts or within pipes. So put the wires within a pipe. So if there's a problem, we fish out the wire, we fish out the hose, we fish all of that out.
But you're not moving. You're not moving Luke's.
I'm not touching Luke's thing.
No, don't touch that. That would be.
I'm not touching it. I'm not going near it. But I am going to be putting sod down, and he's going to have to cover the bottom of it to make it look nice. I mean, he's got a bunch of crap under there. I'm sorry. I've got no respect for the guy, but it just looks like an unfinished thing.
So if he's going to leave his trailer there and all that has to be redone, is it going to be at his expense that he digs it up? And
no,
then why don't we just boot him out of there?
It doesn't need to be digged out again for this. If we were to put a second tiny home or a second Atco trailer there, we would need to dig it up. That's what I'm saying. So whether we find a totally different spot, in proximity to the utility that are going to be used for the tiny home and part also for the barn, because we're going to probably have washrooms in the barn, then that will work to our advantage, as opposed to redigging something for that second Atco trailer just to place it near the current Atco trailer.
Okay. If we're going to go on, can I have a little break and go to the bathroom and
course.
Anyone else want to take a break?
I might. I'll go get some water.
Okay, I'll be back.
And I do want you guys then another thing. Part of the site plan that we need to, yeah, Chris,
No,
sorry.
I agree. No, I'm tracking with you. Absolutely. There's probably no way around another well, like just because of the barn and everything. We're going to need another well regardless at this point, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I figured that.
The other thing I also want to talk about is to reserve the back for the permaculture forest and for the bees.
You like the back area, like up near the top, you're saying, or which
All
part?
this here.
Yeah, okay.
So close enough to have, I also, part of our day away, I'd like to start establishing the plans for the barn. Are we going to have a big sort of, reception area where events will be able to be planned? Because that would help. Having that would help with the Food Forest Academy. And then the possibility of having mini bunkies over here or over here, but like temporary for overnight stays for week-long workshops or weekend workshops.
Right.
But it's going to be far away from this here.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
The other thing is we can put the Food Farm Academy over here if we want, close to the park, to the garden plots. That can work as well. And then reserve the back for something else. I'd really like to put the bees back here. And that's what Robin and I discussed. But if we put the Food Farm Academy over here, then we can put the bees on this side of the mound. As long as, we can't be digging up and moving them and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Had you shown Robin your
Yes.
site plan? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Did he have a preference for up there too? Or again, you guys were just kind of open to either option
What do you
there?
mean the preference?
Meaning, did he like the idea of having it up in the back as opposed to the middle section of the farm as well?
Well, I didn't put that as an option to him. I
Okay.
told him I think this would be the best place. The other thing that he thought of in here is we can grow mushrooms in here in the underbrush, which I thought was a really good idea. And he just said the bees, you can't be putting the bees somewhere and then having to move them because you need to dig something up. I said, well, we're not going to dig this up. There's not going to be anything here. If need be, we'll just bring the road. If we get parking back here, we'll just bring the road up. What he also said is he needs to be able to get to the bees twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. In the spring to manage them, and in the fall in the spring to install the hives, and they're heavy, and in the fall to harvest the honey.
Right. Okay.
And
Yep,
so, other than that, like Cass said that she would do that. And she could walk there. It doesn't really matter. It's not that far. We could just have a walking path, but you don't need a road. I told Robin, as long as it's not in the middle of the spring during the thaw out period, like now, a 4x4 could go, or a tractor. Like, we could get one of the farmers to help us if we can't actually drive out there. It's not going to be an issue.
Right.
But I can talk to him about setting them up, over here. I just don't want them, people might freak out if they see bees around here.
Close over there. Yeah.
So that's the only reason. I want them to be protected out on the side, not bothered.
Away. Yeah. Okay.
So those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I would like to plant the apple orchard this year. I, and I'm prepared to do that. But I would like to get some trees this year, and start planting them.
Okay.
And I'm prepared to look at that. Although now, if I have to also build my parking pad and everything
Oh
else,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I wasn't really expecting all of that. But if part of the hookup for John, what I was saying, Bruce, is if John, his hookup cost, if it can somehow contribute to the overall management, not the whole thing, but somehow contribute, then that might be helpful.
Yeah, exactly. That would take some of it, and then yeah, if you're right there too,
And
it helps out the overall thing.
what you didn't include in there is the existing septic field repair.
Yeah. Yep.
I think he did actually. If you share your screen again, Chris.
No, I think it was for a new. Well, I put the new one. I should have put
Just
something just for contingencies
share
too.
your
Yeah.
screen again.
Yeah.
Um, and and I think you did have plumbing repairs. Is that not the same as helping with the?
That No, unfortunately, that is work that is going to be done the 28th to get the toilet and the shower upstairs done because it's just not draining properly.
Okay.
So it's a little high. I mean, I think our quote's like 3,200 or something, but something
Yeah.
else, and then to repair the walls and everything is something's going to pop back
So
up.
Mylene, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm just behind my computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, Chris, what would really help is if you could update this budget with Mylene's help. Mylene is going to, sketch out the final site plan, which I think, as she described it today, is excellent. Chris, I think you're sharing your email here.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's okay. We'll just
Nothing
read
to
your
hide there.
email.
Yeah.
Can you share that budget one more time, though?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Sorry about that. I'm
No,
playing
it's not
ping
a
pong
problem.
with you, but
No, it's okay.
yeah. So I think so work on the budget. Mylene will work on the final site plan, which I think is going to be terrific. Could you add to this budget the possibility of one small workshop?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And whatever that might cost, just add it there as a placeholder. Maybe we don't do it, but I'd like to have it there. Mylene, when you apply for a septic permit, um, you're going to have to tell them what it's for. If you tell them it's for 4 tiny houses, we're going to bring the city down on our heads and the Conservation Authority as well. When I put my septic system in, I didn't lie to them. I said it's to service my barn. So I estimated the flow rate, which is a requirement. The septic design will need to know what the flow rate is. And so my septic designer, I said, look, I'm going to have 5 tiny homes here. It turns out it's 6, but I'm going to have 5 tiny homes here, which is very, very low demand on septic. And I'm going to have in the barn itself, I'm going to have a small kitchen and 1 bathroom and a shower. So a 3-piece bathroom. So we calculated the flow rate and then we oversized it by, I think, 15%. So it was a $37,000 septic system. That's including HST. So a little bit less, but plus HST. And we got it approved by the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority. But if I had told them it was 4 or 5 tiny homes, they would have rained on my parade. So you're going to have to say, look, it's we need a septic system because I would say because our existing septic system is not adequate. I wouldn't say it's failing because if it's failing, they'll come out and make you rip it out.
Well, yeah, I can't even say that because the location on the application, you have to have the location. And
For
if we're
sure.
building a septic system on the other end of the barn for the house, they're going to want to what I was planning to say is on the barn, and we are going to have more than one. Well, that's another question. We have to talk about what we foresee in the barn. But if we are going to have an event spot, then we're going to need more than one toilet bathroom. And I was going to say we're going to have events around the agricultural tourism industry, yada, yada, yada. We need an industrial kitchen, commercial kitchen, a series of washrooms, and showers
Yeah, you're
for.
way ahead of me. You're way ahead.
No,
That's fine.
that's
That's
yeah.
great. That's great. Okay, so we're on the same wavelength. Okay, that's great. I think so. You're gonna guys are gonna work on the budget, and you've got a site plan. It's fixed in stone now, or fixed in blood, in Mylene. It's going to be a really good site plan. And Mylene, you have a real feel for the site. I mean, that's not easy to do. If I had done it, it wouldn't have the same, sort of. I like it. I like what you've done. It
Well,
has.
there's a lot to discover on the site
I
still,
know. I know.
Every time I go around it, I
Yeah.
discover new things. There's a mound here, there are trees here, there's, all sorts of things.
Agreed. Okay, so let's go back to our agenda. So we actually have made some progress on our agenda. I'm just going to share my screen one more time, and we'll see if we've gone through everything we need to. Okay, so let's see. We're in your all right, we solidified our tiny home locations. We've done that. We've done Robin. Sorry. Sujal Patel is another young fellow I coach. He is doing some courses with me, but he has said no to at this time to an investment, right?
Yeah, right now. It sounds like he wants to do his own, you know, buy an asset. He
That's
thought
fine.
if he could get about 70K saved, then he'd feel comfortable, but
He'd
not
do
quite
something
yet.
on his own. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're going to get a few no's. Um, all right, let's go switch over here to the update on finance. I'll give a quick update. One of my clients has a site very similar to Melody Place Farm in Moose Creek. Moose Creek is about 30 or 35 minutes away from where we are. He has a couple of works garages on the property. He has a farmhouse on the property. He has a workshop on it. He has a barn on it, and he has some farm fields. And Credit Desjardins, which is also known as Caisse Populaire or Caisse de Placement whatever. It's known as the Caisse or Credit Desjardins. They're kind of interchangeable. They did 5.5%, $700,000 mortgage for him, which is really good. So Chris is going to talk to the same mortgage broker that did that for Alex Long. He's another client of mine. And if we could get a $700,000 mortgage on our farm, that would give us considerably more financial capacity. Because I don't know what our total mortgage is now between the first and the second.
It's about 524.
Yeah, so I think $700,000 would be right, and it would be 5.5% instead of 10 or
Yeah.
11%. So
Yeah.
it would cut our interest rate in half and give us more financial resources.
I'm also working with BMO on that side too. I talked to them yesterday. So they're opening that file and seeing what they can do on just a traditional residential, very similar type thing. But then I'm talking to him today, the Desjardins guy. So we'll know more.
Great. So I think that's really, really helpful, and that should be a priority, Chris.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
We already did the budget update. We obviously need to do that again. We've confirmed the date for our board meeting. You wanted to have a discussion on name change and logo.
I feel like we should punt this till our in person. That's just my personal,
I'm
feeling
fine with
on
that,
it.
but I don't want to insult the ladies.
Sure.
What's that? What did you say, Bruce? You
I don't want to
said
insult the ladies because Chris and I picked the name Melody Place Farm, and now the two ladies on our board are maybe not too happy with it. But maybe what Chris is saying makes sense. We should talk about that next month at our in-person meeting.
Mylene, do you see any reason to talk about it right
No,
now?
I think we
Yeah.
do, because there are associated discussions that need to go with that, in terms of, is it the umbrella corporation? Is it the location? Do we stick with, anyway, there are a lot of questions that I have also in my mind. And Tina-Rae and I did ask at the very beginning about where does this name come from? And we both kind of felt shut down. So
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but
no, no, I know.
I've been known to do it. So the Melody Place is something that comes from my childhood, actually, and I think I mentioned that to you. It was a spot in Cape Cod that I went to as a little boy, and it was where I had really good. I have very good memories of Melody Place, and Melody Place isn't just about tunes and singing and dancing and plays and theater. It's also about something that to me a melody or a lullaby. It had to me it had the right connotations for what we wanted to do, but uh, if there's a strong view that it doesn't suit the business or the farm or what we're doing, I guess we should talk about that.
I I don't think the Melody Place in my mind conjures up the beauty that it doesn't capture in my mind because we're so visual, um, the beauty of what we want to do and or conjure an image or a feeling or both. Melody to me is about music, and while there might be some music there in the future, that's not primarily what we're about. I think there's a better way that we can impact people with our name and our branding. I like the image of the farm on our branding, but the music notes, no, not so much.
Yeah.
I'll reserve my comments until we're in person. I I agree with Tina-Rae, but I don't necessarily want to add to the time unless you want to hear what my thoughts are now. I don't know.
I
And
think
Bruce,
we should have a listen, Tina-Rae. I'm okay if you want to change the branding. We're not going to change the name of the corporation. I mean, why would we do that? I mean, corporation could be just a number,
yeah.
but we can certainly do a business registration, which costs in Ontario $62. So we could change the brand. That's not an issue. That can be done and it's inexpensive to do. So let's discuss this in person.
And I acknowledge the fact that it holds a special place in your heart, Bruce.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And I do think that it's a beautiful way to honor a place that has so much meaning for you.
But like I said, I don't think the Melody Place name, as far as the corporate name, is going to be changed. But I do think if we
Okay.
wanted to change our brand, you can register a brand for, like I said, for just over $60,
Okay.
and we could operate under a different brand if we want to. But like Chris said, and then Mylene supported Chris, we'll kick that to our in-person discussion. And just so you know, Tina-Rae, I'm not opposed to if there's a better brand out there and you guys are all on side with it, I'll go with that too.
Thank
Um,
you.
we have a couple other things here. Hire Alex to pay her debt. I guess you've already done that, Chris.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, after the tree debacle with her car, she mentioned that there's quite a few other rotten trees in the area, and just because of the propane costs that have gotten a little crazy this year, we finally gotten on a payment plan with Propane Levesque, but just because there were a few double payments, so to speak, she's about 700 in the hole, and I didn't want to just hit her all at once with that. She said she's had some expertise in taking trees out before. So I figured, I would want to go out and see exactly what she's talking about. Maybe I do that in April or whenever, but I figured she could pay that down as opposed to us hiring somebody from the outside.
Yeah, as long as
Well,
she's insured, she has to have
Yeah,
insurance. Because if
right.
she
Yeah,
whatever, we don't want her to get hurt.
right.
Etienne is also the trees that are out in the open. That's going to be part of what he's going to be doing as well to clear the land. So we don't, I can't be telling him, well, clear everything around here, but not that because we're going to bring that one down by hand or whatever.
I think the idea was more maybe it's not the trees, it's something else we need, that's on site that might not be as heavy duty as the trees, but some way to work down her debt. And again, I
Well,
mean, look, not a big deal, or she can just pay it.
Well, there is going to be, under the forest, where there are the big pine trees. If we clear that up to plant mushrooms, we're going to need to clear that. So within that, we don't want any big machinery. So
Right.
that could be a possibility.
Something that she
But
does. Yeah.
I just
Okay.
would like to make sure that we work together, that she doesn't start, cutting
Exactly.
down
That's
trees that he can cut
exactly
down in no time.
right. Right. I agree. So I'm not going to tell her anything yet. Just wanted to run it by you guys that she might do.
So
Well,
She might try.
I want to add in that Cassandra, and actually this doesn't make sense. She asked, she would be interested in looking after the garden plots and the bees, and she asked for a $500 rebate on her rent a month. But then, the garden plots run maybe 6 months of the year. I don't know if she's expecting $500 12 months of the year. It just dawned on me.
Right.
But so we're going to have to work that out because she's paying me for the rent, and
Right.
she would be doing the work for the farm.
The farm. Yeah.
But she is very interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Is that also part of the house mother rule?
Well, I just thought I would bring it up here. I thought of putting out the garden plots because I know that we were looking for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if Robin and I start with the hives this year, we're going to need somebody on site if we want to produce honey.
Yeah.
And that also comes to, I. Well, this is new business, but I've been wanting to approach somebody who's a caterer in Limoges, and I think they have a mobile truck. They prepare meals that they sell, frozen or fresh, I don't know. But I wanted to approach them to see if they might be interested in running a canteen. And I know we don't call it a canteen, but it would be embedded in a farm gate. What do you call it? A farmer's market, a farm gate. And so I'm waiting. We can wait until April, when we're all together. But Bruce, I'd like to hook up with you so
Yeah,
that
I'm keen on that. I love the idea of a farm gate marketplace truck. I think that's great. And I'm also keen on the house mother role. But one of the things that we were thinking is it would be a broader role. Yes, she would. Looking after gardens isn't a big deal. Looking after bees, I know nothing about that. But the house mother role, looking after, if somebody's need some direction or help. I think we were talking about $400 a month as a budget for that. And if there's another $100 to look after the bees, well, that would be the responsibility of you and Robin, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think if Cass is interested in being the house mother, and which is just basically. I have a list of what's actually involved in that, but it's basically making sure that if there's interpersonal conflicts, she resolves them before it comes to the board or to us. If there's something urgent that happens on the farm, that something breaks, we've got somebody there that we can rely on. If there's a fire or some kind of disaster, she takes some kind of responsibility for making sure people are exiting safely. If somebody comes along and says, hey, I'd like to rent one of these gardens, she can say, hey, listen, yeah, for sure. I've got a form here, or you can go online.
Right.
She provides information. The house mother role is not very demanding. Generally speaking, it's not. Some months she might have. It is year round though, by the way, Mylene. It is a 12-month year rule. But some months she might have 2 hours worth of work. She's making like $200 an hour. Other months, especially in the summertime, she might put in 10 or 15 hours. and her, her hourly rate is $35 or $40 an hour. So generally speaking, it works out pretty well for the people who do it, and it's not too demanding. But I have a specific set of tasks. I'm sure everybody on this board will want to look at it and add something or subtract something. But I think if Cass is somebody you like and trust, I'd be in favor of that.
Was Chris, or how do you feel? Because I thought you were going to be the house mother while you were on site.
Well,
Yeah, but
that's a good idea too.
well, right. I mean, so whether it's divide and conquer or, however we want to do that split, I mean, if there's something that she didn't want to do, I'm all for it. But, if she
No,
wants to
but if
take
you're
on
going to do the house
more.
mother thing, then we'll give you the $400.
Sure. I mean, to me, it's not like that was like a requirement. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I could really use that. But I mean, hey, look, it'd be helpful. So I'm for it. If she wants to do some of it and maybe focus more on the bees and other things, that's okay too.
So I need an amount of money because I'm going to negotiate. I'm not going to pay her $300 to do the bees a month. So I just need, how much are you guys prepared to do and what? Like what do we offer her from the farm perspective, and I'll add what I can for the bees.
Right.
Well, Chris, if you feel comfortable being house mother, then we'll just put that in your summer kitchen lease, right? The
Right.
four hundred
Okay.
dollars
Okay.
is just because I
Yeah.
think you're going to rent the summer kitchen for $1 million a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Right.
we'll give you
Exactly.
four
That'd be
hundred
nice.
dollars off. That would be a
Yeah.
good deal for the farm. But no, I
That'd be
think it
pretty
was
good.
something like $1,800 a month for the summer kitchen.
Right.
And if you're going to be the
Right.
house mother while you're there, I think that should go to you.
Yeah. I
We
agree.
we're going to favor, Mylene, the people who are putting the time and effort into this, and we're the founders. So I think you can tell Cass if when Chris leaves, or if he does leave, then that role is open for $400 a month. But for now, since Chris will be here, I think in May,
Okay.
that will go to Chris.
Okay. And that will include the garden plots, Chris. You'll look
Yeah,
That's
after
right.
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yep.
So the other thing I would also like a bit of a commitment from the rest of you. Like Cass is wanting to move on the farm, and I need to get it all ready for her to move. And I would like, a commitment from the board to help me do that as soon as possible, because there are a lot of projects juggling
Yeah.
around. So I want to hear from you guys, because if this is only going to be ready by mid-June, July, she might find another solution.
So what is it that you need from us, Mylene?
Well, I need to know that we can get, how soon can we get my tiny home on site and hooked up?
Well, I would ask you that question because you're the project manager and now the associate executive director. I mean, I think the summer kitchen is a priority. We know that's
Yes,
going ahead, but I
yes.
also think you're going to buy a tiny home. We need a well and a septic system to handle that. So I think that's a priority too. And
Okay.
I think you
All
just go
right.
ahead and do it. Like let's stop talking about doing things and let's get,
Perfect.
excuse my language, ladies, let's get shit done. Uh,
Okay.
and Mylene,
Okay.
if anybody can get shit done, it's you.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
also happen to know Tina-Rae pretty well, and she gets shit done too.
Yeah.
So we have two real doers on here. And by the way, my wife is exactly the same. She doesn't pussyfoot around. When she does a project, she gets shit done. So yeah, we want that well and the septic in place. We want John Conley's unit there. We want your unit there, and I'm sure there'll be two others or three others that will join us.
We'll get the
Milan,
budget.
what is Cass's like deadline for either she needs to know she's going to the farm or she looks somewhere else? Can she
Well,
wait?
right now in her mind, she's coming to the farm. Things have settled with her ex because they're still living together. So she's not in as much of a rush to move. But she keeps writing me, and I'm trying to target end of May. And if the septic system isn't done just yet, that's okay, because I would buy a gray water purifying system, and she's got an incinerator toilet for the time being. And I
Okay.
probably won't, because of cost, I won't put in a water toilet, but I still have to do work on small things on the house. So if I can get, all I would really need is water and electricity hookup to the tiny home, and then figure out what I'm going to put it on.
So I have to say, Mylene, I love the flexibility you're showing. I think this is good. And you're thinking the way that you need to think in order to get stuff done with a limited budget. That's
Yeah.
very good. I just think it's great.
Yeah.
So the other thing you were going to send me to, don't forget, is your cheapo bunkie. So I can offer two alternatives. And if your bunkie costs, say, $3,000, we're not selling for $3,000. We'll sell it for $6,500 or $7,500, right? If it costs $5,000, I'm going to mark it up so that the farm can make some money. All right. But you give me
So we're not going to offer the option of renting a bunkie for the season.
if we had more money, we would do that. But for now, we're going to sell bunkies that they own, and if they don't like it at our farm, they can bring a trailer and pick up the damn thing and take it somewhere else. Same thing with their farm wagon. I'm going to introduce you, Tina-Rae, and I think it was Chris, to Jessica and Josh. Same thing. If they don't like the farm, the thing's on wheels. You can, and it doesn't weigh very much. It's like 2,500 pounds instead of 25,000, right? I mean, these are wagons. Okay, so I think that I think we killed it in an hour and 40. And listen, guys, I know it's a bit scattered today because we started late, sort of, and we were going to finish early, and then we didn't. But we will talk throughout. But Mylene, go and do it. We'll find the money between Chris and I and you and Tina-Rae and Robin too. He's now part of our team. Yeah. So send me the site plan when everybody, the site plan, Mylene, when you have it, send me the bunkie stuff with as many pictures as you can. Chris, work with the budget on the budget with Mylene. And Tina-Rae, get better.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I gotta,
I hope
think
the
I'll
best
be
for your
going,
dad.
I'll be going, yeah, to check on my dad. I haven't heard anything, so I guess he's still waiting to be seen in emergency. But I'll be going there later this afternoon.
All right. Well, take care of yourself. All
Yeah,
right, guys.
absolutely.
And keep in
Okay.
touch.
Everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
And I'm
See you
coming to
guys
your
later.
place for lunch.
Yes.
See ya.
Well, not today.
Oh, next month.
Okay.